Welcome to the first Year 9 revision video for Assessment Week 1. Predominantly this term we've been looking at Python, and we've been practically programming for a lot of this term. Now when I say Python, I don't mean the snake. We're looking at things like the command words or the keywords that we've used throughout the term. So input, print, we've looked at if, and within the if we've looked at the keyword in, while, for loops, both of those types of loops, but we've also looked how to error check with colour. Because if you remember, the input and the print command go purple. The if, the in, the for, the while, they all go orange. We've not written all of our code ourselves. We've looked at the import proposition so that we could bring in modules that already exist from other people. We've used the random module more than anything else this term. But that's only the practical stuff we've done. We've also looked at the computer systems diagram and how we model computer systems. We've looked at the different input devices that you could use. And as much as my sketching is pretty bad, I'm hoping we can get that that's a keyboard. We've looked at what different input devices would be useful for different situations. You wouldn't want a webcam if you're typing up a Word document. There's the difference between an automatic and a manual device. What kind of printer do you want? Do you want a hard copy of anything, or would just output it to the screen work? And it's those different scenarios and contexts, if you remember, we discussed as would push you up to the higher level. Now this is my pretty dodgy drawing of gears and motors, so if you're trying to walk in through the door and it automatically opens for you, still an output device because that motion is happening because you've triggered it. So the differences between the theoretical content and the practical content that we've looked at this term. We've looked at the computer system model where we had input being processed, could be stored or at least retrieved from storage, and then output in some way. We then looked at the fact that some of those computer system models have the output affecting the input. That's your feedback system. We looked at the different input devices, where you should be able to identify them from a list at minimum. We've looked at the output devices, things that you get from the system. And again, you should be able to identify them from the list. You looked at storage devices, from CDs to memory sticks, and thought about which one would be useful in different situations, especially if they've got bigger size of memory. But do remember, the top marks come from linking it to a scenario or a context of some description. So you're looking at whether or not the input device of a keyboard would be really useful in a fast food restaurant compared to a touchscreen device. What would be better for a teacher to input marks? What about a toddler to try and interact with a laptop of some description? You wouldn't use the same device in every single situation. We then looked practically at a lot of the Python sort of the commands and keywords we linked through at the start. You should not have to code them during assessment week, but be able to spot errors with any of the following. So print, input, ifs where you've got a selection or a choice, while loops and for loops. Just in case you've never heard of it before, it's iteration because you're iterating through a list of things or a number of times. Be able to spot the import where you include different modules and why we do that. So we used random in particular, but are there any more that we could include on this one? We've also got to think about the comparison operations. So if you think to maths, and while we were making our hangman game, we could have used greater than and equal to, greater than, less than or equal to, and we've used in. The only one not in that list at the moment is does not equal to. We looked last lesson at flowcharts for sequencing, so start and stop in the oval symbols, the parallelogram where the user's got some kind of interaction with it, almost as if they're trying to push it over, the computer or the rectangles tasks, the processes, and the data flow. So we've got the process, we've got any kind of user interaction or the input-output, and the data flow symbols. The last one, the diamond, is your choice, where it's either a yes or no based question. over the course of this next week, I would suggest that your task today to definitely do would be to write your own list of what you actually have to revise. Okay, it could look something like a grid where you've got the topic one side, a bit like input devices or input command if you were doing your Python stuff. Then you check you've read about it. So you could go on any of the resources on our Google Sites page, links on there to the BBC revision pages for the ICT and the computer science sections where it's really useful revision techniques. Check that you've tried it on Python. You can download a copy of Python for free and try the input command. Then self-assess. How do you feel after reading about it, after trying it? Do you feel confident? Do you feel worried or wobbly? Or do you feel panicked about it? Because if you feel panicked, there should definitely be an email going my way. And it spells self-assess correctly. So as you go through it, you'll be able to extend your list with all the different things that you need to revise, and then say whether you've read them, tried them, and then self-assess all the way through. Use it to track the whole of this week. Again, to try, at the end of this video there is a how to download and install Python. Go for it, because the only way that you're going to get practice in it with actually trying it over and over again. Okay, both of these things will help you. This is an introduction onto what you should be revising, and it will tell you the steps by steps to just have a go at. I think even includes print and input straight away, but remember it's not your computer to get your parental consent. Lastly, but by no means leastly, please make sure that you aim to set up your revision for this half term properly. So know the content and know your prep list. Remember, don't worry about snakes, it's got nothing to do with them. Good luck.